Hey, Gina Abbas here from our Jamestown campus. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the last time you felt guilty? Maybe you copied a little too much of your friend's homework. Maybe you didn't tell the whole story of what happened at that party on the weekend. Maybe you lingered a little too long on that website. Or maybe you told your stepmom that you were going one place, and you did, but with a different crowd than you told her would be there. Or maybe you said you were studying the whole time, but you were really just binging a new show or playing a video game with your textbook open. We've all done things like that. And a lot of times it just makes us feel guilty. And when we feel guilty, we get really good at hiding. And we have all sorts of hiding tricks. We avoid people, we try not to make eye contact, we ghost our friends or our small group leaders, we play it cool around the people in charge, including teachers and pastors and parents. We might even turn off our location services or hide our location. We do everything we can to act as though nothing happened, even though on the inside, we know what we did was wrong. And it's eating us up. It makes us feel not so great. No matter what it looks like for you, we all tend to let our guilt sometimes get in the way of our faith. For the last few weeks, we've been in a series called Afterlife. We looked at people who physically saw Jesus after the resurrection. That includes a guy we're going to talk about today for a few minutes named Peter. Peter, if you haven't heard of him, he was also referred to as Simon Peter sometimes. He was one of Jesus's closest friends and a key leader during the early days of the Christian movement. But Peter, he had some run-ins with guilt and shame like we sometimes do. Peter was known as being Jesus's loud friend. We all have them. Or maybe you were the loud friend. This got Peter in trouble from time to time. And the worst example of when this happened was right when Jesus was sentenced to die on a cross. But first, before any of this happened, Jesus had told Peter what he would do. Exactly that he would deny being connected to Jesus. Jesus basically told Peter, I have experienced your loyalty so far, but when it comes down to the end, you won't be loyal to me. And Peter defends himself, telling Jesus that he would never do that. And then at Jesus's lowest moment, that's exactly what Peter did. You see, Jesus was arrested, tried, and nailed to a Roman cross. And the last thing Peter did, he denied that he even knew Jesus. I mean, I almost feel guilty for him. What a bad, sad end to his story, right? He denies his friend at the very end when it mattered the most. But like we've talked about in this series, Jesus' death wasn't the end of the story. To Peter, it's possible that the resurrection could have been a reminder of the guilt that he felt. And if he felt guilt, I sometimes wonder if he ran through all of the same phases of guilt that we do. I wonder if he wanted to lie or exaggerate, defend himself, or even hide from Jesus altogether, maybe embarrassed and ashamed to even see him again. Here's what happened a few days later. Jesus was on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, and Peter was on the boat with the other disciples, the close friends of Jesus. And they saw Jesus. This was after the resurrection. Here's what Jesus did. He made breakfast, and then he brought up the thing that was no doubt weighing on Peter's mind. And when they had finished eating their breakfast, Jesus says to Peter, he says, Simon Peter, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again, Jesus says, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And he answers, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And Jesus says, take care of my sheep. The third time he says to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And this time Peter was hurt because Jesus had asked him 3 times, do you love me? And Jesus says, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus says, feed my sheep. That's from the book of John, chapter 21, verses 15 through 17. You see, Peter denies knowing Jesus 3 times in the story earlier. And here, Jesus asks 3 times, do you love me? You see that every time that Peter denied knowing Jesus, Jesus gives Peter another chance. And in giving him a chance, Peter knows that he is loved and forgiven. Do you know the same is true for us? The resurrection proves that our guilt is no match for God's grace. We don't have to let guilt diminish our faith anymore. Instead of guilt, you can move towards grace, knowing you are forgiven and loved no matter what. Grace and peace, my friend.